James Benjamin Parker was born on July 31, 1857, in the city of Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States of America, to enslaved parents. He worked a variety of jobs including a newspaper salesman for the Southern Recorder and as a constable. He later moved to Chicago, Illinois, where he worked as a waiter, before returning to Atlanta, where he appears in city directories as a mail carrier for the United States Postal Service. This was followed by moves to Saratoga, New York State, to New York City, and then to Buffalo, New York, where he took a job with a catering company at the Pan American Expositions Plaza restaurant. Parker had been laid off from his job at the Plaza restaurant prior to September 6, 1901, and used that day to visit the Expositions Hall of Music, where President William McKinley was meeting members of the public. The recent assassinations of European leaders by anarchists, and often radical denouncements of President McKinley in the newspapers of William Randolph Hearst, combined to concern McKinley's private secretary George B. Corr tell you that there might be an attempt on the president's life. He arranged for tight security after the president refused to cancel his appearance twice. A contingent of up to 75 City of Buffalo police and exposition security guards monitored the doors to the Hall of Music and patrolled the queue waiting to see the president. People who made it far enough to approach McKinley had to pass through a cordon of U.S. Army soldiers who had been instructed to quickly surround anyone who appeared suspicious. There was, at the time, a general rule that anyone approaching the president must do so with their hands open and empty, but the heat of the day meant this custom was not being enforced as many people were carrying handkerchiefs with which to wipe away their sweat. A long line of attendees queued to meet the president. The man in front of Parker in the queue, Leon Czolgosz, was concealing a pistol underneath his handkerchief. As Czolgosz approached McKinley, he fired a weapon twice, hitting the president at point-blank range. After the second shot, according to a later account by U.S. Secret Service Special Agent Samuel Ireland, Parker punched Czolgosz in the neck then tackled him to the ground. Parker was quickly joined by one of the soldiers and a Buffalo policeman in restraining Czolgosz, who was battered by more soldiers, police, and bystanders before McKinley could order the assault to stop. An unnamed witness cited in a Los Angeles Times story said that, with one quick shift of his clenched fist, Parker knocked the pistol from the assassin's hand. With another, he spun the man around like a top, and with a third, he broke Czolgosz's nose. A fourth split the assassin's lip and knocked out several teeth. In Parker's own account of the event, given in a newspaper interview a few days later, he said, "I heard the shots, I did what every citizen of this country should have done. I am told that I broke his nose. I wish it had been his neck. I am sorry I did not see him 4 seconds before. I don't say that I would have thrown myself before the bullets, but I do say that the life of the head of this country is worth more than that of an ordinary citizen, and I should have caught the bullets in my body rather than the president should get them." In a separate interview given to the New York Journal, Parker remarked, "Just think, Father Abe freed me, and now I saved his successor from death, provided that bullet he got into there, President don't kill him." After the shooting, Parker was approached with several commercial offers, including from one company who wanted to sell his photograph. He refused, stating in a newspaper interview that, "I do not think that the American people would like me to make capital out of the unfortunate circumstances. I am glad that I was able to be of service to the country." Just before McKinley's death, when the president's outlook for recovery appeared promising, the Savannah Tribune, an African-American newspaper, praised Parker, saying, "The life of our chief magistrate was saved by a Negro. No other class of citizens is more loyal to this country than the Negro." Despite initial optimism that McKinley would recover, the president died about a week later of complications arising from his wound. Czolgosz was quickly tried and convicted in the Erie County Superior Court, and, exactly 45 days after McKinley's death, he was executed, his body afterwards being dissolved in acid. Parker was not called to testify, though his attempt to save the president was later praised in a speech given by American educator Booker T. Washington. Preacher Lena Doolin Mason wrote a poem praising Parker for his actions called, "A Negro in It," casting Parker as the latest in a long line of African Americans who risked their lives in service to their country, and admonishing white Americans to recognize that bravery by stopping lynchings. After the assassination, Parker left Buffalo, and after spending the Christmas holidays with his family in Atlanta, traveled around the U.S. giving lectures to enthusiastic crowds at such places as Nashville, Tennessee, Long Branch, New Jersey, Brooklyn, New York and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On the first anniversary of the assassination, Parker was the principal speaker at a memorial service at the People's AME Zion Church in Providence, Rhode Island. Although there was talk of Parker being appointed as a messenger to the United States Senate, nothing came of it, and he went to work as a traveling salesman for the New York City-based Gazetteer and Guide, an African-American interest magazine written for Pullman porters and railroad and hotel employees. In early 1907, Parker was in Atlantic City, in New Jersey, where he had been reportedly roaming about as a vagrant for some time. He was arrested by local police and held as a lunatic. He was later released into the custody of friends. They made their way to Philadelphia, where Parker was placed in a boarding house at 246 South 9th Street. On the night of Sunday, March 24, 1907, a policeman noticed Parker on a West Philadelphia street acting suspiciously and took him into custody. In the station house, Parker reportedly raved all night. The following morning, a police surgeon examined Parker and determined that his mind was subject to hallucinations and that it was dangerous for him to be at large, so Parker was admitted to Philadelphia State Hospital. Parker was only at the hospital for a short amount of time. He died at 2:10 p.m. on the afternoon of April 13, 1907, the cause being given as myocarditis with a contributory cause given as nephritis. He was 49 years old. As his body wasn't claimed for burial, it was sent to the hospital's anatomical board, where it was dissected by students of the Jefferson Medical College. James